So San Diego Comic-Con behind us, and October 20th growing ever closer. Growing? Is growing a good word? Approaching faster, I should say. At San Diego Comic-Con, Insomniac gave us the Marvel Spider-Man 2 story trailer during the Symbiotic Relationships panel, which a lot of us, including me, called that they were going to give us a story trailer. It only makes sense. Though in the story trailer, it's left fans sort of with a lot of questions. And one of the big questions is, why is Mary Jane hiding from Peter in the in that one scene, where he drops down with the symbiote and the tendrils sort of like are there, not cushion his fall, but sort of just be there for effect, and she's hiding behind the door. I'm here to throw my own theory in and see how that mission could possibly play out. The way I imagine it would play out is starting from maybe from Peter's point of view. You're swinging through the city, and he wants to find Craven. He wants to end this now. And so, say you find a bunch of Craven goons just chilling on a rooftop, looking, keeping an eye out for him or Miles. He beats him up, and the last one he keeps awake, and he's sort of asking him, "All right, where's Craven?" And usual thug fashion, he's like, "I'm not going to say anything." But because this is Peter, I imagine at least middle or towards the end of the game, and he still has the symbiote, he's still very aggressive. He beats the Craven goon and keeps asking where is he, and eventually the thug gives up and gives up the potential location of where Craven could be, and Peter swings off. And you could be possibly Mary Jane's already there, because they're sort of maybe dipping back into the first game, sort of how she was at Grand Central, sort of saying, okay, I'll poke around, see if I can find anything, and then I'll let Miles know. Because at this point, I imagine Peter with the symbiote sort of already like pushed him out, just like, I don't need your guys' help, I can do this on my own. And so she's there. Whether it's you find out when Peter arrives, or maybe through like cutscenes, it lingers and you see her like snooping around sort of. And say Craven is there and it triggers sort of like a boss fight or a mini boss, whatever it is. And but say if it's like Craven is there and it's sort of a boss fight and another to like a neutral deadlock. Say Peter discovers Mary Jane's there. Say if she peeks her head out for too long, he looks over and sees her. Or say she accidentally makes a noise that distracts him. Craven could take that opportunity to get away, and now Peter, being upset and the symbiote already heightening that aggression, could possibly cause him to act out, whether it's intentional or not. And I see the mission could split up into either one of two ways. It could be either a Mary Jane stealth mission, which I think is the likely route, where it could lead into she's trying to distract Peter, whether it's like throwing the good old like spider tracers or dropping things to get him to look into different areas, or she like texted Miles because because during the boss fight she saw Peter and is like, all right, Miles, I'm gonna need you on standby in case things get hairy, pun intended. So anyway, once say the mission is just you have to survive till Miles gets here, and say they put a timer for like 2 minutes, and it's just you sneaking around this one big like area, trying to stay out of Peter's line of sight till either Miles gets there, as I said, or she just escapes. Or the way I could see is be more interesting, at least for me, would be say the symbiote acts up, and this is sort of leads into the playable Venom factor. This wouldn't be like the only playable time, but the symbiote takes over on its own, takes over Peter, and so us as the player, we're no longer in control. It sort of like replicates the feeling of like you're no longer in the driver's seat sort of thing. So the game is moving Peter on its own, and so us as the player, say whether it's like button mash prompts or like say at a specific time you have to press this button, sort of like a quick time event, it's Peter sort of trying to wrestle back control. It could be like whether he uses a tendril to like smack himself with something to distract the symbiote, and possibly Mary Jane takes that time to move into a different area. And so it goes on like that for a while, which I could see would not be that entertaining, but I think it'd be fun, because at that point you're, like I said, you're no longer in the driver's seat. You're sort of now, it's Peter essentially fighting himself. And say if Miles arrives, if you're doing it from the stealth mission point of view, which I think is the most likely way they're going to take it, he either distracts Peter, say using his powers, or he just causes like a loud sound. Because at this point, I imagine, because we saw in the trailer there was a lizard roaring and the symbiote was reacting. Maybe say Miles was there for it, which I don't know. This is all theory at this point. Say Miles was there and he saw it, and he creates a loud enough noise to stun Peter and the symbiote and get Mary Jane out of there. And then say that leads into the cutscene or a talk they had in the trailer, where literally right after that frame where Mary Jane is hiding, Miles asks her, "What's up with Pete?" And she tells him, "Oh, he's not himself. You need to go help him." And then that could lead into the boss fight, where at that point it's where it's either Peter knows like the symbiote's alive and I don't want this suit anymore, or it's Miles confronting Peter trying to eventually talk him out of using the symbiote. Though I imagine they'll probably leave the boss fight. It wouldn't necessarily tie into it as something right after, but sort of like its own thing. Like you're playing as Miles and it's sort of, all right, Pete is out of control. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. I need to go step in and help him, following like Mary Jane's words. And you're trying to follow him, whether it's you're following like a path of carnage he's doing, trying to find Craven again, or say it's something like he hears like sightings of Spider-Man, and so he's looking, trying to find him, and say Peter's like waiting in the wings or something, and he sees him and tackles him, and that triggers the boss fight. Now, as I said, this is all just my theory, and it could be right, it could be wrong, I don't know, but I'd love to see what you all would say. Make sure to go down and drop a comment on what you all think would happen, and make sure while you're down there to hit the like and subscribe, and even go down and follow me on my socials and Twitch, where I plan on streaming most likely Thursday. We will be finishing up the Devil May Cry 5 Bloody Palace. And so anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye. Because